Well, hello and welcome to this video. It actually is taking the place of next week's video, which is now two videos produced on two different softwares, two different operating systems, one of which is very, very new to me as we approach end of life for Windows 10. Microsoft had launched Windows 11 some years back and nobody liked it, and they didn't much appreciate that, so they decided, I guess a year ago, that they would force it on us by end of life of Windows 10. And in the new version of 24H2 Windows 11, they started putting in a lot of stuff that's good for Microsoft, in my humble opinion, not so good for us. It kind of reminds me of the National Socialists in Germany in the 30s. It's for your own good. Now, when the whole thing about you must have a Microsoft account and they're going to lock your BitLocker key away, and it's really just sneaky ways, in my opinion, of Microsoft invading your life even further than they already have. But I'm old. I don't like new stuff, and learning things are difficult. Right now I have down to my side, I'm recording on OBS Studio, a program open source which I've used for years. Lots of people use it, works pretty good. Recording on a old i3 processor-based laptop that we're doing the screen captures on, because we're going to use three different operating systems with two different softwares, really two different videos, because I had to recreate one from scratch. I've never used this program called Kdenlive. It's just something that is open source and available to us to work on the Linux Mint that I'm using. So it's Linux Mint and Kdenlive versus PowerDirector 21 and Microsoft, both in 10 and 11. So we're getting ready to reconfigure this computer and kind of get away a little bit from the Microsoft, but it's a learning experience. So let's go with it, and let's start looking at this Linux Mint system. So here we are. Now I only had one day to do this second version of the video that you will see next week, and it'll be noted that which one's done with which. But it's done with Kdenlive. I've never used Kdenlive before, never heard of it before this week, and I actually had one dry run, tried to put it together, found out as I did my lower thirds that it wouldn't take videos anymore, so I scrapped that out of a half day's work, and then we came back up to this situation where we redid it, reduplicated the video as best I could. Let's see if we can bring this up. All right, here's what Kdenlive looks like. We're not going to really discuss this too much, because the previous time I tried to run through this, which was last night, it took me 40 minutes in video. I don't think anybody wants to do that. I just want to compare a little bit in the speed and productivity, because apparently it's been maligned. All right, well, let's bring up here real quick the video that I did do. Let's open recent. Here I got a typical one. This duplicates that video that I already had built. This is what the Kdenlive looks like. Similar. It's a little different than what I've been used to for the last 15 years through the multiple generations. I always went kicking and screaming into the new day. But this is a video based upon, let me go ahead and pull myself up, where we review this USB 4.0 and Thunderbolt for version 40 gigabytes per second external drive to make this work a little bit better. So we've got that going on. So with this new computer that we built to do the video editing with, we ended up with one in between, which was fine because the roaster machine died and I used that old hardware for it. With, of course, Windows 11, which they say you can't run on it because it's too old, but I'm doing it. So now we got this software running. We've just duplicated as best I could. The sequence is out of whack a little bit, but they're basically a 19-minute movie. and it's very, very similar to the one we did on Windows with CyberLink's PowerDirector 21, what I'm actually used to and familiar with. So here we go. We want to check the performance. Can we get away from Microsoft and their kind of Stockholm syndrome relationship with me, where they're just, in my opinion, they're just not very nice. They work for their own interest, not so much for the public's. I'm kind of ticked off about the end of life. By the time this runs, you guys will already be in it with Windows 10. So here we are. We want to just go ahead and run this project. It is, you can see it's fairly complicated, not too bad. We're going to do a project. We're going to check how long it takes to render. Then we're going to look at the actual settings to see what we get from it. I think it actually does a pretty darn good job. I'm using Matroska, the H.264. And I do have it set here on this. If you can see this, if the resolution is good enough, we are running it at 72%. I find that's a pretty good quality, and running the encoder in kind of a medium. So it makes a nice small file that still, in my opinion, looks very, very good. And I saw in the day's worth of research up to trying this software for the first time, I saw a guy with a heavy Baltic state give his opinion on it, and he said it wasn't very good and it wasn't user friendly. Well, I made this particular show, which you will see next week, in 1 day and a half a day. So the learning curve is not too bad. It's just different. It's not the worst. It's just different. So that's how we got the settings. So we're going to go ahead and tell it. We got to give it a name up here. Let's give it a temporary name. I've had this run several times, but let's go ahead and just call this. Let's give it this project name, this test project with basic assets. We're going to come back and get this. Let's see about how it wants to run. All right, we've got it brought up. We're going to see about how the time runs. That's what we're really interested in on Linux Mint, using this open source software. There we go. While it starts up to run, I will tell you one of the things that I do like about the software versus the commercial software I've been using is I can actually come over here to this, create a new project name right here for a different video, because I do produce videos for 3 different channels, and then come over here using my layers, block out, and do the other 2 videos, because what we actually have here, let me move this out of the way. My architecture while it runs is pretty simple. Put that back. These are my lower thirds, okay? I have 2 lower thirds with this row and this row, right? These are for the DHP channels. This one is the real estate channel. So I have 2 different lower thirds. This is what I built first, only to find that I couldn't import a video the first time I tried the Kdenlive. So this is literally the second time, or the first working project, and it was all done in a day. The tracks work out here. Here's an audio video track down on the bottom, right? And then at the end, I get about 2/3 of the way through before I force like a little commercial thing. Part of it is regulatory, get that done. But then I put 1 video here, which kind of splits about this center channel, and then we add the second video. So this is what constitutes those different projects. Well, with this, if we bring this back in here, right, I can actually go ahead and start those other 2 videos, get them going, and they will queue up and run. And I can actually I could go take a nap, I can make a sandwich, I can do whatever I want to do. If I have a very long video, or maybe my machine's old and slow, with the Kdenlive, because it will do this, I can go be more efficient doing something else, even if it's making a sandwich or taking a nap. So I really like that feature with this software. But anyway, we're going to run this, and we're going to see how long it takes. And I think you could see that it was going to take about 8 minutes for this thing to actually run. Here we have it. We bring this back down. We are now at 5 minutes into it. You can see we're about 1/3 of the way through. We can see how long it takes. I'm going to go ahead and pause the video. So we're going to see the actual runtime, because we are interested to find out, because They are working on, the community that supports this project is working on getting hardware acceleration. Let's see if it actually makes any difference. Let's compare the two different softwares and operating systems to see if they're a viable candidate without going into the features of the actual editor itself. I tell you what, while that runs, let's go ahead and bring up and look at the actual finished product that we have on this video. I have it under test editor. There we go. Here we it. See these three right here. Look at the video size. Now this is 19 minutes and it produces quite a tidy little project size, or file size. I shouldn't call it the project, but the end product is actually pretty good at around 900, almost a gigabyte in size. We'll need to refer to this here later when we look at the Windows version and the software that we got going on, because we're going to compare this file size and the time it takes to what the commercial software that I've been using for 15 years or better, plus or minus. I don't know how long it is. I'm not really sure, to be quite honest, when I went to it versus the total career of making videos, but we get an idea, right? It's about a gigabyte for 2.5K, or the 1440 30 MP4 video. So we'll go back on rest, and I'll see you in a second. Well, I hope that we can see this. We are done with this rendering. We see that it took this video 8 minutes and 4 seconds to do it. I don't know how well the quality is going to turn out. Like I said, this is like my second pass because I kept running along. But in the scheme of things, what we've done here is we've duplicated as best I can an existing video on the other system. It's not the same video. The sequence is different. The everything is different, but it's about the same length, same runtime, and I'm trying to get it as uniform as possible. Now, in this version with the Kdenlive, I run a higher codec setting on it, as I showed you already. So it's going to run it at a better cleanup rate and a smaller actual file size. And in fact, we're about half the size that we have on the other. And I guess I'm happy with it. It's good enough. You run, really what you're doing is, when you run a slow codec, when you're really running slow through that, it's doing a lot of the cleaning up frame to frame to frame. It takes a lot of processor, a lot of GPU, whatever you're using. It takes a lot of time in that rendering to give you a small file size for the equivalent visual experience. So in this case, that's what we've done. We run 72% and the medium, versus when we get into the other, it's run a fast codec and a larger bit rate to give, so they're different. These are apples and oranges. I just have to make sure that you see that, then you understand that, because they're going to give us vastly different results. This gave us 8 minutes and 4 seconds. So we see from this version of this video, this equivalency took 8 minutes and 4 seconds. We're getting ready to restart with the commercial software on the Windows 11 to see what we get. We have a ratio here of about 30 seconds per final minute. So it's a 2-to-1 ratio, 8 minutes in time to 19 minutes worth of video. We're going to reboot and we'll be right back up with the other software. See you then. Alrighty, we've got Windows 11 open. We're going to come down here and find our video over here in, where do we put this thing?
If you like this content, please go to calldeltosell.com, find the tab that says on YouTube, click it, and it'll open up a page of QR codes. There you can use a smartphone to scan and get to the YouTube page, or you can just mouse over and click it on a PC. There you'll be able to subscribe to this little button over here and click the notification bell so that YouTube will notify you. Thank you.
All right, here we got it. We're open. Let's compare where we are versus the Linux and the Kdenlive, the community-based software. we've got these videos. These are our 3 different versions, and you see that they are 1.8. So they are about twice as large in file size as the Kdenlive. We're gonna run this. We're gonna build this again. We're gonna load this up and see what we've got going on just by double clicking this, and we're gonna compile it and check the performance. There you see that we have PowerDirector 21 is what we're using. We're gonna load up the file. Look how long it takes to do so. It takes significantly longer for the PowerDirector to boot the same size project. Again, it's done a little bit differently because this was the original versus, quite honestly, the duplicate. We're trying to mimic it with the other software and the other. We covered that. So here's the project. It's still not loaded yet. Still loading. It's very kind of similar in the timeline. Here it's built backwards. We're stacking. This is the layer, the topmost layer is always on the bottom versus the Kdenlive, which is backwards. It's the top layer is the top layer. So this is the lower thirds here, this version down on the bottom. Here's the second lower thirds, the other 2 lower thirds here, and of course our split right about the same spot. A little different layout, but as close as I can get it. Let's go build a test version of this to see how long it takes to render. Shall we do that? As we get started, I want to point out this is H.264. It's 1440, 30 frames per second. The bit rate on this, it's a little higher. I wanted good quality, is a 15500. Kind of low quality on the audio since it's just spoken word. I don't really need it, the greatest bandwidth there. It will do NVIDIA hardware acceleration. Has been optimized for that fast rendering coding. So it does use the GPU. I'm running a 4070 Super. Yeah, I think that's it. 4070 Super Asus card. We just have to come out here. Let's go ahead and let's use this old name from yesterday. It produced at 18. There you got 1831073 for that video. We'll use that name just right over that. Come down, and we want to see how long does it take to process. Basically the same 19-minute movie, although the layout's a little bit different. Apples to oranges. Yes, I want to go ahead and do this. Time begins now. Now, down the way this software works, you'll see this little slider coming across as we run. You'll see the time ticking off where we are in the show. The total 19 minutes and 48 seconds. File name, obviously. How much we've produced down here. The elapsed time at 18, 19, 20 seconds elapsed out of an estimated 4 minutes and 3 seconds remaining. So it'll be 4.5 minutes, something like that. So what we expect this project to run on this Cyberlink in Windows 11, we expect it, looking at the rate it's going, to run about 4 to 1 or so, right? We expect it to probably be about 4 minutes to do 19 minutes worth of video compared to the Kdenlive, which was about 2 to 1. So it was about half. It took half as long to build it as it did to run it. We got a very, very small file size because we were running a very slow, high quality on the codec itself. Here we're doing just the opposite. We're running low on the quality on the codec, but running a fine, high bit rate. It's just a little different approach. That's also apples to oranges, but we'll see what it does in its actual practical time. All right, I'm probably going to just hush right here and let it see what it actually finishes up at, and we'll see in just a second in one video edit. Now we have a few seconds left. We also see that we have a progress bar at the top as well as watching it come up down here. Now we know we're done. It's flashed our screen here, our first, whatever you want to call this, our first frame. Looks like we've got her done. It took 4 minutes and 12 seconds to process 19 minutes, 48 seconds, almost 20 minutes worth of video. And we did it with using, 1.7 gigabytes is the file size. So it's just the option that we had. We're going to back up to edit. And again, like I say, this is just a little different presentation, very similar in how it's done. I don't really want to go into the specifics of the editors themselves because we have to run it and see what we got going on. So what do we just see? With the faster delivery that we got out of the rendering from CyberLink, all right, the PowerDirector 21, we have, is it closer? I'll let you call it anything you want. You want to call it closer to 5-1 and fifth of the time, because we had just less than 20 minutes of video compiled for a little more than 4 minutes of rendering. So I don't know, you call it 4-1 or 5-1. We get the idea that the CyberLink is faster. Now, is it faster because we are running a fast codec and a large bit rate? We don't know yet. That's why we're going to do this next little segment. We're going to try to run it on 10 and see what we have going on, because I've got an Easter egg out here, so don't go away. We're going to prove something. Remember, this one is running also the GPU, the hardware acceleration. That's something we're not getting with the Kdenlive as of today, at least not the way I've got it set up. So we're going to run it in just a second. Let's go see what we got. We are up in Windows 10. We're getting ready. This is 22H2, actually, last version of it. This date that you see right here, the date is correct. The time is not. The clock has been off on both of the Windows systems for some reason. They don't sync. Windows is seeming like it's having a problem for some reason. Don't know what the cause of it is. We're gonna go ahead and jump in there. We're gonna bring up the program. We're gonna see how long it takes to run, and we'll talk about that in just a second. Well, what is this? Well, let's try that again. By the way, welcome to PowerDirector. It has done this on every machine, on every operating system. Just from time to time, it flakes out. A lot of times we'll get down here at the bottom when we're running, and it'll come across, and suddenly it'll just slow way up, and you'll see down in this corner, about where my little head is at, it'll start doing like rendering 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 100%. Rendering 0, 1, 2, 3, 100%. Very long time, and can take an hour once it does that. It took me a while to discover that what I needed to do when it started doing that little bit at the bottom corner was to simply restart PowerDirector, load up the project, and go again. So you just always have to be very cognizant about keeping your project saved and backed up, because it may lock the screen up. It may just lock up on you from time to time. Now, this is a paid-for product, used a long time. Again, Stockholm Syndrome, just like Microsoft. It is what it is. It's the devil I know. Let's see if we can't get this to go ahead and run again. All right? Are we ready? All right. All right. Cross your fingers, people, and hope that we actually get this through before it craps out on us. Here we go. Yes, we want to record it. There we go. Going to be the same basic time I would expect. We're expecting 10 minutes to do the same video we did on the Windows 11 without instant. And it's been fairly stable on Windows 11 that I've been running it. I just made a quick copy of the project over on the Windows 10 to see what it does. We'll see you if we can get through this video. Well, we're coming up on the completion of this round. It went through this time. It says it is now, had estimated at one time 10 minutes or whatever. We finished in 7 minutes and 50 seconds, as you can see down here on the bottom. If our 1080p OBS capture on our i3 7-year-old computer is telling us the truth, if it does a good enough job on the clarity, we'll be in good shape there. But you see, it's 1.7 gigabytes, just like it was on the other one. So why did we double our time? What did it take the first on the Linux-based system that we looked at? Well, I'll tell you. it was taking about 8 minutes or so, 7, 8 minutes. So between the two editors, one running hardware, the GPU acceleration is taking the same amount of time that this project, this open source project, Kdenlive, and again, there may be better versions out there that run on Linux. The devil I know, this PowerDirector simply will not run on Linux. It's Windows only, so I can't wean myself off of Microsoft without changing my video editor. And maybe I need to. Maybe that's what I need in my life, is some new excitement. Other than trying to learn Python and Linux, now I get to learn to do video software at the same time. All right, what we're going to probably end up doing is, see, you remember this video is on this particular device, which you will see probably about the time that it sunsets on Windows 10. So what's the deal? What are my conclusions? That Easter egg I was talking about, what is it? Well, I'll tell you the truth. I'm running the same Core Ultra 9 285K. I'm running the same G-Skill 8400 QDIMMs, 48 gigabytes there. We are overclocked on all of that. We're overclocked on the 4070 Super. It does hardware acceleration. This software does hardware acceleration. The only thing we changed between these two versions of Windows, one's 11, one is 10. Neither have core isolation on. How can it take twice as long to run the compile? And we had an error, of course. That's not atypical, quite honest, for this software that I've been using for years. What do I think the problem is? What do I think the issue is? Well, I think it gets down to the fact that both the Linux Mint and the Windows 10 operating system is run off a Gen 4 PCIe. We're run off now. The two drives are different manufacturers, but they both have a controller of sorts. So hey, I think Phison controller on the Crucial, and I'm not sure what they have on the Corsair drive. So I'm not really sure what they're running, but I know they're both Gen 4 and they're about the same speed. Maybe the Crucial is a little bit faster, whilst the Windows 11 is running off that 4 terabyte 710 Crucial 710. That's Gen 5. That's as fast as I could find when I built it. So the Gen 5 is running about twice the speed, the I/O speed. So wherever we are, we're probably bottlenecked getting in and out of the hard drive. That's what I'm thinking it is. Again, I'm about 7-8 minutes for the same size 19-minute file. They're very similar, although they are different builds. When we hit the Windows 11, it's running on a twice as fast hard drive. And that, my friends, is the lesson I think we have to learn from this. Your hard drive on your main board, your birthing person board, makes a huge difference. I see a lot of AMD fanboys out there who just, for whatever reason, they hate, they're hating NVIDIA and Intel and whatever, and they're locked in their own world. They can buy whatever they want to for gaming purposes, but for workstation purposes, whatever, there is a real benefit to this 890 board, this Intel 890 chipset. I'm running an ASRock board here, running the RAID. You've seen the project. Does a good job, I think. But really, that Gen 5 makes a huge difference, particularly for content producing, because we're reading and writing both. It's not just reading off of. You can speed up your read with a RAID, your game process with a RAID. Just do a RAID 5 or the whichever one is it, RAID 0, RAID 10, RAID whatever, that's 1 plus 0. But you can, by striping, you can run a lot faster with slow drives just because you're striping. What we got going on here is just raw performance. I think it's down to the hard drive, because all the other components are the same. So that's it. I do wish you would watch the 2 videos, or at least some of the 2 videos, and see what you think. One is obviously the project that I have been using for a very, very long time, although the edition changes through the years. The other is brand new open source. See what you think, see what the quality looks like. Remember, we're running about half the the file size on the Kdenlive. Just give me your opinion. It's different. It's awkward. There's some stuff that I don't like about it. I can't figure out how to do that. It's a little bit clunky in the Kdenlive, but it is functional. I think I can probably get by with it. So I may be playing Driverama as we swap the operating system. Maybe I put the Linux Mint on that 710. Maybe. Maybe not. We'll see you next week. What do you think? See ya.